It's Taco Tuesday. You know what that means? It's time for Midnight's Edge After Dark. That's right, I'm Tom Connors, and with me, as always, is my partner in crime, my hero, my uber mensch in metal, Mexican Iron Man. How you doing, buddy?
Arriba, suffering from a tax hangover, but ready to have some good fun with some great peeps.
I thought he was complimenting me for the record.
No, you're not. Well,
you're just a silver sig guy.
Right? You are my, and then also joining us today is the silky voiced sig man himself. Look at that shirt. That is hot. Valiant Renegade. How you doing?
Good evening, folks. Good to see y'all.
Glad to have you. Also joining us tonight, the lovely Six. How you doing? Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to throwing some chairs around.
Well, you know.
Okay, Ezra.
It's what girls are going to be girls. I mean.
That's what we do.
Yeah, you know. And also joining me, a man who I couldn't do anything without, my PhD, my doctor, my man. He writes me prescriptions for entertainment as he does for you. The one, the only, Script Doctor, PhD. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Good evening.
Glad to have you.
Good evening, everybody.
We also have Andre, who will be joining us soon. So let everybody know on Twitter and the YouTubes and the Facebooks and the Instatics and the Talktograms. What else is there? The MySpaces.
Let's just do the intro here. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe, share this sucker out on social medias, and make sure you drop a comment in the chat today, folks. Another person who might be joining us today is the one, the only Mikey Sutton of Geekosity, who you guys may know. And there's a reason for that, because I thought it was going to be a slow news day, Mike.
Surprise!
Oh, yeah, you were surprised because you learned this news as you came in the door.
Yep.
Ezra Miller's at it again.
No. No, we already did that show. Wait, hold on.
No. This is not a repeat.
No, wait, hold. I would tell.
No, he's not the Flash. He's the repeat offender. That's what he is.
That's what he is. Repeat. I will offend again.
Is this not the third time that we're going to do this show topic more or less in the last 5-6 weeks?
Something like that. Like
it is. I think it is.
This would make his arrest, I think, 12 now in the last couple months, because he was 10 arrests prior to the last one, which was just 2 weeks ago.
Zack Snyder really knows how to pick them, eh?
And then let's not even get started on Amber's turd and the whole Johnny thing, because that was a hell of a show today. Did anybody watch Johnny's testimony today?
I watched Ricada Media while I was at work today.
I watched Ricada, yeah.
I didn't see it, but my girlfriend did, and she was really sad when she came home today from just seeing his story.
And this is, and I pointed out in Ricada's chat, like, Johnny doesn't do a lot of interviews. So we're probably getting some of the most intimate stuff about him we've ever heard. Because usually he doesn't do a lot of this kind of stuff. Yeah.
Well, did you ever hear the story before Kevin Smith went crazy about how those two kind of interacted? Johnny Depp sent Kevin Smith a text saying, "I'm Lily Rose's dad."
Yeah.
Like, he didn't introduce himself as Johnny Depp, but because their kids go to school together and were friends, that's how he introduced them. And Kevin Smith did the same thing politely, and he said it was like the most Jersey thing that he ever did that was normal, as opposed to like normal Hollywood stuff, right? And so that was years before all this Amber stuff occurred. So you got a little glimpse into the fact that this guy wants to kind of be as normal and humble as he can, even though he's gone through some very crazy stuff, even prior to Amber's.
Well, and he talked about, and this is what I was trying to tell people before about how prior to the Pirates movies, he was kind of just, I wouldn't say unknown, but underappreciated actor, right? Like,
he was a recluse actor.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't
really
do a buttload of stuff,
but he's had like a J.D. Salinger approach. He just wanted to be private and out of the public life, and I think he was with a singer for a number of years.
Well, I mean, people act like, Johnny Depp's, just always been this huge star. And it's like, no, it took him 20 years to get there, right? Like, close to that. Pretty close.
He'd have those hit movies, but then he'd just peak and then fade and peak and then fade.
Because outside of Jump Street, that was like his only real taste of, like, true being a huge star because he was the teen heartthrob, and he even said he avoided that even today. You know, he said that in the whole thing. But yeah.
Oh yeah. No,
Yeah,
like he did Jump Street. He then got peaked with Edward Scissorhands, and peaked again with Ed Wood. Got another peak with Fear and Loathing.
Well, he really said that his life didn't change really big until Pirates.
Yeah,
he's like, at that moment, things really, really changed. It got completely out of control, basically.
He was able to buy an island after a couple of
them. Well, that's where he said he had to step. You know, it was the first time he really had to hire security and all that other kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah? Really?
Yeah, you know, people like trying to break into his house and get, you know, people showing up dressed like pirates and stuff like that. And that was another thing he talked about, how, you know, he couldn't just go to a restaurant anymore because he'd be there for a half hour and then there'd be 30 paparazzi waiting outside, you know. So in comparison to what it was before.
What you saw from Johnny on the stand today was more than we have seen collectively in the past 40 years on Johnny Depp talking about himself.
Yeah, and Alec, this is true, yeah.
Yeah, now I was going to say, I mean, and those guys you bring up, his security detail, it was stunning to listen to. You know, one of them had testified yesterday or day before yesterday, and today, I mean, 4 or 5 guys that Johnny has as security, they've been with Johnny for the better part of almost 20 years. And
oh, wow, that's crazy.
Exactly. Yes, script.
No one has someone that long usually. Yeah.
And 4 of them for that long. And it's a testament to just, I mean, these guys, they love Johnny.
Yeah, as one guy just retired or whatever, yeah.
One guy, the guy that was with him the longest passed away about 2 years ago from cancer. And I mean, they're like family. These guys love him to death. They think the world of him, and he thinks the world of them.
Yeah, he would have hired all these guys right after Pirates, yeah.
Yeah, and you think, I mean, 20 years of employment these days at any one company for any employee is out of the ordinary. But for a security detail with a guy like Depp, I mean, that's stunning.
It's rare because usually it's about a 5-year turnover, because sometimes the security gets upset with their client and they just recommend someone else to take over, or other times the client gets upset with the security because they don't do a good enough job, and so they're fired. Yeah, it's 20 years. That's a really good relationship to have with security.
Yeah, and addressing Alex chat here on screen. Yeah, he actually talked a little bit about this in his whatever you call it. What would it be? Testimony today. Yeah.
If he was on the stand, that's testimony.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
He'll be on the stand for several more
days.
But
there's a little more to the story. But yeah, he didn't even actually show up there to be in the film. I mean, he kind of jumped through it real quickly.
Well, Nick Cage helped him get that role.
Well, Nick Cage told him about it, and that's what he said today. But he actually didn't tell the whole story. The whole story was him and Nick Cage was actually telling his buddy about it, who turned out to play Freddy years later. And that would have been Jackie Earle Haley. So he's actually going with Jackie Earle Haley to, because Jackie was going to try out for the part that Johnny got, or the other kid, I'm sure. And they just happened to see Johnny there, and they're like, "Why don't you audition?" He's like, "All right," and he did. And as they were going through headshots, Wes Craven's daughters said, cast Johnny," and he's like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "He's dreamy." So that's what got him the role.
To be fair, he had a good screen test too. I mean, he had a good.
Yeah, he didn't even plan on being in the movie because, as he said today, he always wanted to be a musician. So,
actually, the only nightmare film he did plan on wanting to be in was one of the reunion ones, which I think he wasn't asked because he just kind of got into a bigger tier of actor at that point.
He showed up in a cameo in Freddy's Dead, and I think he and just about everybody else were supposed to be in that funeral scene in New Nightmare.
Yeah.
But he was unable to make it, I think, was why. I think he was busy filming probably Ed Wood or something at the time.
Oh, because I heard that he was never asked, and he found out about it. It was like, why didn't you call?
No, because I think he's even actually in the book. Like, because I remember, like, they name all the people in the book, and he's one of them that's mentioned.
Yeah.
Because they even had, like, the guy who played Rod Lane and everything in there. So I'm sure they tried to get him, but maybe he just didn't know about it. Maybe, just didn't get to him through his agents and all that shit at that point.
Yeah, because I remember hearing an interview of that where he was like, he saw the movie and he saw all these people, and he's like, or not so much saw, but heard all these people. He's like, why didn't they ask me? I would have.
Yeah, pretty much everybody but him were there. Like, that's the funny thing in the funeral scene. Like, yeah, I don't think what's her face is there either, though. That played Tina. So I think he and her are the only two I think that aren't there. Can't think of her name offhand.
I can't remember.
You know who I'm talking about, though.
I know who you're talking about. I'm just a casual.
Yeah, she was in. She was in a bunch of movies at that time, though, like Better Off Dead and a few other things. I can't think of her damn name. But she played the role that everybody thought she was going to be the main star, and then she gets killed within the first 20 minutes. You know who I'm damn talking about. Anyway, well, we'll see how the Depp thing goes, but that's neither here nor there when it comes to Ezra Miller, because that's the main news of the day. Manda Wiss, thank you, Jen.
Man.
Yeah. We got KB, who's a new member. That was a minimum effort puppy, wasn't it? 6?
Yeah, minimum.
Yes, it's
effort.
In the private chat, sir.
So that is this one here.
Bambino, come over here and learn something. Bambino winning.
And then we had a member chat already. We had one from Steven, aka Deleted Scenes, who's been a member for a year. Happy birthday, Steven. At the Congo level. He says, hail, MEADs, panel, fellow mods, and chat. I'm still convinced that Ezra Miller is going slow motion insane or trying to self-delete. Johnny Depp survived a childhood that would have killed most. Yeah, well, that was another thing he talked about today was his whole experience growing up on the stand and how his dad deserted them and all that stuff, too. That was
sad to hear.
Sad to hear,
putting yourself out on the line when you decide that you're going to sue somebody.
Well, they even asked him flat out, like, how do you feel about all your personal business being out there now? He's like, well, what am I supposed to do, kind of thing. But yeah.
Well, the interesting thing on that, since you brought that up, is that he even said during his testimony that he realized years later that he misjudged what his dad did, because it took him a while to realize that I think it was his mom that was kind of out there. And
yeah, she clearly had some issues for sure.
A lot of people in Rekida's chat today were drawing the conclusions to where, there you go, it's textbook. He wound up with AH that bears a striking psychological resemblance to his mother.
So was Johnny Depp's dad, Johnny Sr., timid like Johnny Depp then?
Yes, more or less. Like,
okay,
he never lost control. He was kind of always really down to earth. He put up with, again, allegedly, the
way he described it sounds a lot like Johnny.
Mother. Yeah, the machinations of the wife, Johnny's mother. And eventually he left, and then, as Johnny said, he's like, at first I hated him and I blamed him for it, and then years later I kind of came to the realization I understood things, and he didn't remove the blame for him leaving completely, but he basically alluded to the fact that things became more clear as he got older, and then now he didn't make any connections to AH at that point, but the chat that was watching that 17,000 on Rekida's channel sure started making those connections,
right?
Like that. You can see the parallels. It's on. Yeah.
Well, talk about progressiveness. I mean, think about the time when this would have happened to Johnny. Like, even those 4 kids, they'd have had no voice in this. They'd have never been able to say, we want to go live with dad. So I'm sure that's another reason why he probably didn't even have a shot in hell. Because even then, it was a bigger uphill battle than you could imagine.
I found it fascinating in the when asked about exposing his personal life and some of the intimate details of things that he has gone through. One of the responses that he made was that it's important that I identified with this as a father. Not that any of this stuff has happened to me, but he says I want to make sure my children know the truth, and I don't want my children to have to see and hear these stories that are not true.
Well, that's what a lot of today is establishing how this affected him, why he got to this point. There's a lot of things that were going on today in this testimony, and that's a big part of it too, how it affected his family, and that's going to play into the reason for the lawsuit in the first place. But let's get into the super chat here. Lord Kamina too sends in $2, and this is one of the reasons why I brought in Mr. Valiant today. Chapek is flying too close to the sun. I think you're asking, is it part of the plan?
No, he's not flying. He's flying close to the sun, not too close, just close.
You want me to answer?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, today, I don't know. I'm sure you're aware of this, Valiant. DeSantos or whatever come out today and basically said, yeah, guess what, Disney?
Yeah. So
time to pay the piper.
Yeah. So the elements that have been talked about the last few weeks, there was a lot of chatter regarding what the Florida State Legislature might do, like, hey, we might take away the Reedy Creek district, we might pull that, and at 2 weeks ago this was this. Okay, now it's real. Now there is actually a piece of legislation that has been filed in.
Oh. Is it me or did he freeze?
He froze.
No, he froze. He's glitching out and going a little pixelated.
The Disney people are getting him.
Well, they might be. I mean, again, they built on a swamp that was considered worthless, and they took advantage of that for decades. And now DeSantis is like, well, we're going to reevaluate that.
Which is kind of funny considering, yeah. But hopefully when Valiant gets back, yeah, that's the basis of the situation here. Yeah, Louisiana internet. It sounds like Disney might not be enjoying the tax incentives and all the other business that they've been able to all this time. It sounds like that's what's going to happen possibly if DeSantis has his way, but we have yet to see that. And I'm curious what Valiant also has to say about it when he gets back here. But in the meantime, Kareen, not Karen, says WS is radioactive, but not Ezra. What the fuck? Racist much?
Who's WS?
WS.
Valiant Renegade is down. He is down. Cajun 1 is down. Cajun 1 is down. I'm texting with him on the cell phone. Cajun 1 is down.
Is that Wesley Snipes? Will Smith. Oh, Will Smith.
Oh, Jesus.
Will Smith.
Yeah.
I was trying to think who would be working for Warner Brothers that isn't already. Like, yeah, okay. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not really radioactive right now. I mean, some of the other stuff he has in the works is still being pushed through. There's just a weird a lot of Hollywood people don't know how to deal with this right now. So he's more like in a limbo as opposed to radioactive at the moment.
I was just sitting there wondering what the fuck did Wesley Snipes say now? Because he's somebody I can see saying something.
I was thinking Wall Street.
Wall Street? Okay, that's true.
I think he wants to come back for like Demolition Man 2 as a clone, but I don't know.
I heard something like that. You're not wrong. I did hear something like that. But I just, because we were talking about him the other day, I said he's one of the 3 people I guarantee you will not show up in Doctor Strange probably. But anyway, yeah, no, you're not wrong there, Kareen, not Karen. That's the big question of the day. But now that Valiant's back, let's talk about this Disney business first, and then we'll get to Ezra. So we got the beginning of your discussion.
Yeah, sorry. Hopefully the internet, like the whole thing just went down. Everything.
Mickey came for you.
Yeah, the whole thing went out. So hopefully it won't happen again.
Pull the plug.
It's the beginning of Valiant Renegades cancellation.
Yeah, exactly. It wouldn't surprise me in the least, and I'd probably sleep better if they canceled my YouTube channel. Who knows? But just kidding. So no, it actually became a real thing now. They actually have legislation that is being put through. There is now a House and Senate bill component.
Yeah, this is what I was trying to say. Thank you.
Yeah, this is no longer just politicians in Florida talking as kind of a Twitter feud. This is this is now a legal process. This is going to be a bill that will be discussed in committee, and then if it gets out of committee, will move to the chamber floors of the House and Senate, the Florida State Legislature, to remove, and they're not targeting just Reedy Creek District. However, clearly that is the primary target of this, but what the bill actually states is that any special taxing district, any autonomous taxing district that was created prior to 1968, which of course the Reedy Creek District was created in 1967, so that would fall under that view. And the idea for those of you out there who don't really understand what that means is right now, Disney's Walt Disney World in Florida, it basically straddles 2 counties in Florida.
You said straddles.
Well, it does. I mean, that's an apt way of putting it, actually, on the geographical level of things.
It straddles two counties at this point, and what's going to happen is, or what it is right now, is that the Walt Disney World property basically is self-governing. They don't have to go to a planning and zoning commission.
Yeah, they got their own cops and all that other stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's part of it. I mean, anytime you create your own municipal taxing body, I mean, it does come with certain things that you do have to provide. You get the autonomous nature, but you also have responsibilities that you, by law, state law in this case, you have to fulfill. Fire and police is, being some of the primary functions there. So Disney has done that. Now, of course, if they have serious criminal issues, they have to bring in, state police, or they have to bring in county police or county sheriff's department, so on and so forth. What this bill would effectively do is to remove that special privilege,
the low-level
Disney
autonomy
enjoys.
Essentially. It's the low-level autonomy that they have.
Well, you're right. It's low-level script, but the fiscal impact is tremendous, because you don't have to go, just like, okay, Universal Studios, if they build a ride, if they want to expand a park, if they want to do something, if they want to set up a frickin' snow cone stand, they effectively have to go to a planning and zoning commission, and they have to get some type of government permission to do whatever expansion package, and it has to be approved. Disney doesn't have to do any of this. They have an unfair competitive advantage right down the street from Universal. The other power that the Reedy Creek district has is the same power as any other municipal district. Forget all the planning and zoning. This is the big one. And that is the ability for the Walt Disney Reedy Creek district. They can issue municipal bonds. They can issue debt, just like the city of Orlando, just like the Orange County and all. They can issue municipal bonds. If they lose that ability, if they lose the taxing district, they lose the ability to issue very tax-friendly and far more cost-effective debt. They have over $1 billion in municipal debt that they've issued from the Reedy Creek district to build Walt Disney World or expand it. That's how they're doing a lot of that, is by levering it. But unlike Universal Studios, who has to go to JP Morgan or Bank of America, or they have to go to a private equity lender, they have to pay higher rates of interest on debt that is taxable. Disney gets cheaper rates of interest, and it's tax-free. It's a tax-free bond, basically, they can issue to consumers out there. So that's the big thing. And what this bill is going to have to dive into is, it's not just a simple matter of pulling it away, because then police and fire have to be restructured under the counties that they straddle. The big thing is what happens to the outstanding municipal debt that the Reedy Creek district has issued, all these taxes, all these bonds, all these muni bonds they put out. And that's the big question, because I'd have to go dig. I don't know if this has ever been done before.
I don't think it has, but one would assume, based on the financial laws of Florida, that they would have to be rolled into Disney's bottom line. They'd have to basically sever all ties, cash them in, roll that debt into their line if there's any value. And then on top of that, Disney World owns a lot more land than what Disney World has already constructed as well.
Oh, yes.
And there's a reason for that, because they can always do expansion, as you were getting to earlier. If they want to rezone an area, they don't have to go through any bureaucracy to do that, unlike Universal and a couple other parks in the region. And if they lose that special condition, that they still own the land, but then they basically have every single level of bureaucracy that the state has will be overseeing them and handcuff them with red tape to get done, which is further expenses, which is also very lucrative for a state like Florida, because they'll be getting a whole lot of money on those bureaucratic expenses, plus the outside banks and anything else that they want to leverage to finance that expansion. So yeah, this is something that will have a lot of people at Disney basically having to change their underwear several times a day.
Well, that's why I think this bill is going to mature, for lack of better sense, from the comparably, my opinion, far more generic language that it entails now. They're going to have to put in things that will address municipal debt that was issued by a taxing authority that is now going to be stripped. So they're going to have to put something in the bill that says that taxing authority will then, it's going to have to revert. They're going to have to put it somewhere, and the bill is going to have to say it's either going to revert to the counties that the land is occupying now that the segregated taxing district has been dissolved, or it's going to have to revert to, in the case of this, they have to put something in the bill saying, well, if this is owned by a private corporation, then that debt is going to revert to the corporation effectively making it into a corporate bond at that point, which is going to be really interesting because, again, debt ratings, this is going to affect things like Standard & Poor's, Moody's, Fitch's, AM Best that do bond debt ratings and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's
going to affect the individuals.
Nightmare.
It's also going to affect the individuals who work at Disney that also have purchased those bonds because of the benefits that come with them as well. Like, it's essentially they'll have to have a law in there that says before this goes into effect, Disney has to pay out those bonds to those individuals that have purchased them at their proper market value. And if you really wanted to like really mess with Disney, you'd also basically force Disney to pay any taxes on those bond transfers for that year for the individual because of the problem. They'll never be able to get away with that because there's too many.
Well, you can't, because the problem with that script is that really, and this is where it gets really nasty.
Yeah.
Is that doesn't fall expressly under state purview. So when you're issuing municipal debt, you're effectively, I mean, you're falling under SEC regulations. You're falling under the Securities and Exchange Commission from that standpoint. So it's not just a Florida state issue when it comes to, they can rip away a taxing district in Florida, and that's fine. But what happens to these bonds is now you're talking about federal regulation that's going to have to step in. They're going to have to, the SEC is going to have to get involved in this somewhere. And
they're already looking at Disney anyways right now. They've been looking at them for 3.5 years for fraud. So yeah, this is
we'll have to wait and see how this goes, though. Unfortunately, we got more pressing news to talk about today. We also have the boss man joining us. Welcome, Andre. How you doing?
Hey, greetings everyone. Thanks for having me.
Hi, Andre.
Wow.
Hey.
Hello.
Sorry if I was boring you backstage with the tax talk.
No.
Absolutely. That's,
I was going to say, if anything, I was going to get his feelings on this real quick, and then we were going to move on to the Ezra news, since that's what folks want to talk about anyway.
Well, we haven't gotten to that.
We're actually talking about the first bit of news today was DeSantis basically going to the next step with this. It's no longer a threat. Or
it's a more serious threat because there'll be details in the bill, and then if Disney backs off, those details might suddenly vanish. We don't know. Like, again,
this is exactly what we said in the previous video. They can ramp it up, but still, nothing has been said that can't be walked back in the right set of circumstances. Now it's up to JPEG to convince the board to agree to those right set of circumstances. Otherwise, it might be some very dire consequences for Disney.
With this tax district potentially going bye-bye and no city being there, I'll tell you who else has a huge interest in this, which is the counties of Osceola and Orange County, where this district lays on top of. I mean, these would be then unincorporated. This would be something that's on there unincorporated because they're not incorporated in a city per se. So those two counties would have they'd have to absorb the policing impact, the fire impact, the da-da-da-da-da-da. But they would love to get their hands on those fees because it's those counties that would collect the fees and start having jurisdiction. And now you're dealing with two counties at the same time. That is a nightmare for any private company.
And the tax windfall to these two counties. My
God. Whew.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look at what the folks are saying in the chat. We got Dark Saber Force, who sends in $5 and says, in the words of Cat Williams, I've been arrested 5 times in 5 cities in 5 days. Seriously, why isn't he in jail or psych ward? That is a good question.
Cat Williams is still performing?
Yeah, I guess.
Wow.
Rave Girl says, Hail Midnight's Edge. People have been bending over backwards to defend this guy. Does someone have to seriously get hurt before people take his actions seriously? Well,
a woman has a gash in her head right now.
We're going to get into the details of this here in just a moment. Douglas Nelson says, am I correct in assuming Zaslav has more power over Warner than Chapek ever had over at Disney? Yes. It's my understanding that he can do pretty much anything he wants.
He has a lot of room because he's a majority owner, but if AT&T has some issues, he's got to negotiate with them. Yeah.
And to stipulate to this so everybody understands, part of the reason he does, apart from the obvious thing that just happened with the merger, is that because of the merger, David Zaslav was able to effectively cherry pick who was on that board. I mean, he had a tremendous amount of influence with who he was going to be working with when this thing started, whereas Chapek did not.
Yeah, that's exactly
so
right.
yeah. So we have we got Michael Miller here who says looks like Orville canceled, contracts expired. I don't know. I didn't hear anything about this. They
That's
just
not how that
announced.
works.
I was just saying today I just saw the poster for the announcement for the June
The
premiere.
premiere. So the show has to. It's up to the audience, and if the show is any good, this season, at least this season is any good, that it will be renegotiated for further production.
Plus, from what we had heard from people, and this was not us saying this is actual interviews with like Seth MacFarlane and other people involved. They have future plans. If it's not for a series, they do plan on doing like movies or specials and stuff. So
yeah,
it's not like the Orville is going away anytime soon, from what it sounds like.
Not if they spent a year building that new set.
No. Yeah, and that's just it too. And that was the other thing that Seth MacFarlane said. The beauty of going to Hulu is some people may look at it as, oh, you're going from a network to a streamer, but he's like, yeah, but now we don't have to adhere to, an exact running time. We can get away with doing some things that we may not be able to do on the network. He didn't say we're going to go into like R-rated territory necessarily, but
they can skirt the line if they have to.
They can skirt that line, exactly. And when you kind of expect that already from Seth MacFarlane to a point.
The other part too is that even Hulu is giving them a little bit of latitude because again the pandemic stopped everything.
Yeah.
And they had to reshoot, or not so much reshoot, but they had to reschedule and then shoot around all those conditions, which are still a nightmare. And some of them are still going on in various productions to this day. Which I hope they'll be eliminated before the year is out, because it's just chewing up a lot of resources right now and delaying a lot of things for production.
Yeah. Speaking of coming to expect things from people, Ezra Miller.
That boy sure got a purty mouth.
Lord almighty. I hate laughing about this because clearly there's a serious issue here.
Well, what else can you do? I will say the only one who's not laughing right now is probably David Zaslav.
Right? What'd you say, Six?
I said I don't mind laughing at all. I'm sure Ezra's laughing at it too because he keeps getting away with this.
I'm starting to wonder if the kid ain't crying out for some kind of help, because there was some crap he said at the premiere of the Fantastic Beasts things that just was weird as fuck. And then since then he's been on this just spiral, obviously. But anyway, let's get into this because there's two versions of the story from what we've heard now, Andre, correct? The other version that you have heard as well is starting to make the rounds, but Ezra Miller has been arrested for second degree assault in Hawaii less than 4 weeks after the Flash and Fantastic Beasts star was arrested for disorderly conduct and harassment in Hilo, Hawaii. Actually, I think that was more like 2 weeks ago, because it was like the premiere.
It was reported 2 weeks ago, but I think it was trying to be suppressed for.
Well, it was the same weekend as the Oscars. When did that happen? It was right after the Oscars.
3.5 weeks ago.
Okay, so you're right. Okay, so I guess it's been a little longer than I thought. All right. Miller was arrested early Tuesday morning after an incident at a private residence in Paho, if I'm saying that right, Pahoa. Patrol officers responded to a report of an assault that occurred at a get-together in the Leilani, that's probably what it is, Leilani Estates subdivision in Lower Puna. According to the Hawaii Police Department, Miller allegedly became irate after being asked to leave and threw a chair, striking a 26-year-old woman on the forehead and resulting in an approximate half-inch cut. The woman refused treatment for the injury. Did they update this? Is this the same thing we heard, Andre?
This is the same thing we heard. Actually, there's a little bit more detail to it.
Okay.
But what we heard is basically he threw a chair at a woman's head.
Yeah. Okay, so police arrested him at 1:30 a.m. after the actor was located on the roadway during traffic stop at the intersection of Okay.
California clearly wrote this. They're talking about roads and times.
Yeah, it gives a shit. Yeah. The investigation remains active. Miller's first arrest came on March 28th. Okay, so yeah, it was just under a month ago. South Hilo officers responded to a report of disorderly bar painter. Actually, that's not even true, because when that happened, we had learned that he had been arrested no less than 10 times or had interaction with the police like 10 times in the last couple of weeks there. Yeah.
Which they're saying about 2 paragraphs down.
Yeah. So okay, there we go. Okay. All right. So anyhow, that's the situation, kids. No response from Warner Brothers at this time.
They don't have to say anything, really, because, again, their movie is a year out with him in it. Fantastic Beasts is already there.
And playing in theaters right now, yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing for them to really say. This is, I mean, they're in an okay spot because it's not approaching a premiere date of a movie that he's already leading. So they have plenty of time to basically, I mean, if I was in any position, doesn't matter if I was Zaslav, but any position where I had certain authority over the potential production, I'd be like, this is it. This is his last film. We're not dealing with him ever again. Threaten his agents to drop him so that he should not be working, and let him go seek medical help for whatever ailments he has. Just completely do a complete severance or divorce of him from their company, and yeah, go from there. Because right now, if I was a producer like on The Flash, I'd be like, well, we just lost our movie. We have to release it, but no one's going to really want to see it for the reasons that they want. They'll see it once, and we'll get maybe 400 million over its 5-week run, and we're done, and that's it.
I think you're right on the money, and Fantastic Beasts is teaching them that right now. And it goes to show, and I've been chuckling about this. I haven't done a video on this in a while. I really need to. But, I mean, David Zaslav, this is a guy that is coming in at absolutely the most perfect time, not only for Warner Brothers, but also for himself, because you have clowns like Ezra Miller, people that Warner Brothers knows they need to alleviate themselves of these burdens, and they're all giving Zaslav perfect reasons at the perfect moment to just go ahead and start cleaning house. I mean, this honestly could not have gone any better if it was planned. I mean, I seriously, he's got so much leverage right now to deal with so many problems. It's not funny. Chapek has got to be sitting there jealous as hell right now at the position that Zaslav is in, to do what he needs to do at Warner Brothers. I mean,
Warner Brothers is going to have a crazy 2 years because, again, Zaslav is quick to sort of pull the rug out from under the people's feet if they actually screw up or they don't hit their target quotas of either audience or financial return. And if you are one to think like, yeah, he's going to revamp DC, I don't believe that his first time outing revamping DC with their new product is going to be the exact success he expects it to. I think it might be a little bit better, but probably won't meet what he needs. And I think we're probably going to get another revamp of it as well. It's probably going to be 2 or 3 times, and I suspect by 2028, that's when he'll probably find that sweet spot for those properties to actually start making money and basically bringing in audiences, because that's the thing that he has to do with not just with DC, with all the properties that Warner Brothers has, is he has to bring in audiences, which means he has to build up from a core, and he has to be able to be approachable and accessible to the general audience in order for it to be considered a success. Right now, the only group that's kind of lobbying for DC films is like the Restore the Snyderverse people, which is great core audience, but it's been 8 years of those films and the audience doesn't grow, and that's a big thing that he has to kind of consider with the direction of these films, and subsequently what's going to be happening with his HBO Max products, which are still kind of up in the air, because one of the things I heard this morning is that the numbers for the Batman on HBO Max was a nice peak, but it also had a drop, and they don't know if it's going to go up in the same vein that the Zack Snyder Justice League cut is going to yet. So we still have, it's still very early, but they've got their they're tugging at their collars right now, is what I've been told. So
I believe really interesting to hear.
Yeah, I mean, it could change. I mean, I don't think many people want to spend their Mondays watching a movie, right? So I'm assuming that that's going to go up towards as we get closer to the weekend. But I mean, when one of my buddies who's down there is like, yeah, they were not happy with that first day. It's like, okay, well, maybe it'll change.
I honestly, you're right. I don't know why they didn't hold it until a Friday. I mean, that's streaming's hot days. All you have to do is look at what Netflix does to figure that out. They dropped their big new stuff on Friday.
The Easter Monday, quote unquote, holiday for some people, right? That's what I was thinking. But usually people kind of do stuff, especially when you finally have some.
Well, didn't they show it on HBO Saturday night too on top of it? So they probably didn't want to encroach that either, didn't they?
Did they? Like HBO owned
like proper?
Television?
Like I thought they were showing it on HBO proper as well. Wasn't that the deal?
I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure that was the deal.
It didn't come across on my HBO when I was over the weekend when I was looking. So,
yeah. I mean, the bottom line is this, and I said this, about a month ago when the Batman was making its early part of the run. I did it again in my video the other day, and look, $750 million globally. That's great. It broke even. It made some money. The problem is that when you take into account the fact that North American ticket prices have blown up 30% since 2019, since pre-pandemic, and you start factoring that back in, you start doing adjustments for this, the audience for this film, forget the raw dollars, folks. Look at the actual ticket sales when you take into account in ticket price inflation. Not that good for this movie.
Would have been great for 1992. It's terrible for 2020.
Actually, it's showing this Saturday.
Yeah.
On HBO?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
At 8 o'clock.
Yeah. I mean, 1989 Batman in today's dollars, just in North America, just in the U.S. alone, 1989 Batman with, 25% less population in the U.S. that we have today would have done $755 million, I think was my calculation.
Actually, I think I tweeted out the calculations for that generally based on theater numbers and population, because I think Superman still Donner Superman would have made the most money globally if it had a proper theatrical run, because it was only in theaters for a handful of weeks when it was released in 78. So it didn't have this long theatrical runs of these other films it had at this time. But I'm pretty sure Superman would have crossed the billion. Maybe I still have that document somewhere. Let me.
I think technically by inflation, Superman is $1 billion movie.
I don't know quite by inflation, but very close.
Right. Well, that's the problem. Is you can't use CPI because CPI does not reflect ticket price inflation.
I know it isn't exactly the same, but I mean, I'm just saying
it's not exact.
But anyway, exactly, when it comes to Ezra, though, this is the thing. You have a situation now, Andre. Well, let's get before we get to Andre, let's get Six's take on this, because he seems to have something against women. It looks like.
Well, hold on a sec. I have a question about what Valiant was talking about, the gross. What about the actual number of tickets sold? How many butts in the seat? Does that ever become a determining factor on whether a movie is a success or not? Because I know that they inflated the prices for the Batman, but what about actual how many people, how many times went to see the movie? Do we have those numbers?
Well, I mean,
or is it just gross?
You have to look at grosses, and you have to figure out butts and seats. You can do an approximation based on what we know from the National Association of Theater Owners and stuff like that. But yes, internally, studios, they look at stuff like that.
If you're going by actual tickets sold, then movies like Gone with the Wind and Star Wars are still number one.
Absolutely. By far and away.
Godfather, stuff like that. Yeah.
By far and away. Yeah.
Okay. Well, and in regards to Ezra Miller, my question is, he was released 3-4 hours after he was initially arrested. So does that mean that they didn't drug test him, they didn't alcohol test him, or they weren't?
Well, I'm not sure on that. Yeah, but I do know that I think the initial one they dropped the charges as well. I think that was another.
Yeah, that couple whose home he broke into or threatened them, they dropped the charges. So why do things keep getting? Why are they swept under the rug? Why is nobody prosecuting? Or why is nobody filing charges against him? What about that woman who's got a cut on her forehead?
That's a good question.
It's probably just a superficial cut, but
no,
why is she not, seeing dollar signs and saying, yes, prosecute him? And
because they probably already get paid. That's what
I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking too. Someone has already paid to make.
But it's funny that was it Valiant or Script who said that all the right things are happening for they're giving basically Zaslav all the excuses he needs to get rid of these people right now. And I think part of what you're getting at, Six, here, and I think a big deal of it is this kid's probably had a lot more problems than we know about, but they've been covered up. I think he's not as protected as he was before. And that's kind of part of the game at this point is I think it was Valiant. You said that I think you're onto something there. I think that this is basically, the studio going, we're not protecting this kid anymore. This is going to give them all the leeway they need when they announce that, his last film with DC will be The Flash next, whatever it comes out here this next year. They won't say it now, but they'll wait and say it then. Mm-hmm. It'll be all these reasons given. And I think that's why this stuff's making it to the press. Because normally that's kind of the quid pro quo that goes into this kind of shit, right? You know, they have this story. It's like, we have this story. He just got arrested, and then Warner Brothers would kill it right away, or one of his, people, and they'd be like, well, we'll promise you an exclusive for this, that, or the other, right? It may not have anything to do with Ezra, but it may have something to do with somebody else related to the studio, or somebody else, that works for the agency or something like that. They work these deals out, and maybe we're getting to the point where this kid just is not protected anymore. What do you think, Mike?
As the one hardcore Snyder, I'm probably the most hardcore Snyder person on this entire panel, and definitely one of the only ones in this end of the fandom. But I can tell you, amongst us Snyder folk, there has been, and there's increasingly what Script talked about in terms of getting tired. We've been waiting around for so long. Like, even we're not that excited anymore. We're just not. And things like this there's increasingly, like, let's just reset this thing and try to do it right anyway, so more people will like it. Because being a Snyderverse guy, the best choices are obviously not made in casting. And you got Ezra pulling his shit. You got, Aquagirl pulling her shit. These are not proud times for Snyder people. And as Script said, it was Snyder who freaking picked these people. In fact, championed these people.
There's also Ray Fisher and his drama. So.
Yeah, we're not even getting
exactly,
on that
yet. Exactly,
yeah.
Exactly. So listen, and you know what? I'm probably going to get ostracized by my own Snyder peeps, but I'm putting the thing in the flag now. I don't care if I ever see it again. Let it go. Let it go. Let's redo it. And you know what? This time, let's do it right so that it appeals to all of us as DC fans, all of us that read the comic books, people like Script and others like me, where we've read the stuff and we understand DC. And let's just get us the characters we're supposed to have gotten all along, and not a segmented take on a segmented few different comic book runs of a few stories that happened to have been when, maybe Zach was younger at the time.
And let's not, one of the things that was a benefit to the Snyder verse is the fact that the Batman costume, I thought, was quite excellent.
Oh, it's the best.
And some of the cinematography for him was out of this world. Like, there's nothing, take what works and run with what works. But, even nowadays, a lot of the times whenever Zack Snyder's name comes up, it's usually followed by a laugh, because, like, listen, if we want, a great backdrop and some cool action scenes, yeah, we'll go for a guy like Snyder. But if we want something emotional, we need someone who actually understands human emotions. And Snyder is not considered one of those types of directors that can understand and convey that. And when you're dealing with characters, especially, mythic level characters, such as what we have in the Detective Comics universe, you need someone that understands emotion and on a deeper level than just, quoting Leonard Cohen lyrics.
Well, those lyrics are pretty sweet. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, they're great, but you want to use them on a deeper level, not on a superficial level. And I think that's kind of why, like, guys like Douglas Adams used to make fun of him all the time, is because so many people that loved him only loved him for the superficial aspect of his lyrics, as opposed to, why is he talking about this subject in either his poetry or his songs, right?
So what do we think is going to happen from here on out, Andre? Or what is the other part let's go back it up a little bit. What's the other bits we're hearing right now? Mikey is supposed to stop by, hopefully, but what have we heard from Mike, Andre?
Well, he implicated one of the producers here, namely Toby Emmerich. Not implicated as in that he has anything to do with Ezra screwing up all the ways that he does, but he absolutely has something to do with him not being fired before. And the last thing we heard from Mikey is that Emmerich personally assured Zaslav, who was not happy with the situation or with this guy, that don't worry about it. He's not going to do anything more. It's over now. He's going to walk the line and behave from here on out. See how well that went. So,
I have a button for that. If I can find it fast enough for it to be funny enough. Never mind. Fuck it. But yeah. Here's the thing.
That's a really good way for Emmerich to associate himself really, really closely with.
And this is just a couple days after we had Hamada on the stand, basically implicating him or Ann Sarnoff for being the one who fought for Amber Heard to stay in Aquaman. Not just the sequel, but the first film, it sounded like, as well. So this is not boding well for those two. And like we said, you add the whole Cyborg problem to the mix, I mean, yeah, I see where Script's coming from on this. You almost got to practically reboot at this point. Ben Affleck don't even want to fucking come back. So like he's like done. Yeah,
Well, I
this
mean,
is
he'll do the small movie. He'll do the big movie if he really wants the money. But he's looking at a lot of independent films right now, and it's like his little quote that people parody from Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. You do the art film, then you do the big film, then you do the indie film, and he seems to be doing that right now.
That's true, but in his one interview, he kind of implicated that he's kind of done with these big movies in general. He might not have to anymore.
I don't
Kevin Smith kind of backed that up. Well, I'm sure if they back a truckload of money up to his house, he'll say sure. But
yeah,
I mean, when it comes to Batman and a few things, I'd be hard pressed to see him come back again. But Andre, what else is your take on this whole business?
Well, it certainly gives Zaslow full authority to do what needs to be done, and it's not looking really good for Anne Sarnov's legacy. When basically this is what the Zaslow comes into. Two of his stars screwing up on a daily basis, one in court and Ezra in Hawaii. So yeah, fantastic, because these are still, what he can argue to anyone behind him is that these are people who are associated with Warner, with their major franchises. This is not an enviable position to be in, but again, what's good for Zaslow is that he didn't create the situation, but he can certainly put an end to it. And I don't think that Toby Emmerich is long for the studio either. That's just until he can find someone better. Or Zaslow can find someone better when he has learned the ropes, as it were.
Can movie studios get insurance on a movie?
Yes,
so that if the star does a major fuck up like what Ezra Miller is doing, they can just bag the film and recoup some of their losses. Is that possible?
Not quite that way.
I was going to say there's the Lindsay Lohan type of thing, right? Like where you can't get somebody insured. There's that aspect of it. But when you already have a film that's practically in the can like this, you have a problem.
Yeah.
This is even beyond like the closest thing I can think to this outside of maybe The Exorcist, where the last one, the fifth one or fourth one or whatever it was, where they reshot the entire movie. The only other instance I can think of where something that comes close to this, and Andre already used this in one of the videos, was Back to the Future. And that movie, they weren't even 100% done with yet. So like, that's the thing. That'd be a tall order. And this movie has already cost them over $200 million. And that's the thing. Almost
that's what they're telling us about, though.
And the problem is that it's done.
That's the other thing.
If there was something that they had to remove him earlier, maybe. I mean, there's like various clauses and everything for every eventuality, but they're all out the window once the movie is actually finished. Like, we don't want to release it now because our star is a liability. I assure you, the insurance does not cover that. I mean, it covers it if Ezra suddenly has like a heart condition and he drops dead on set while they're halfway done filming. Insurance will cover that.
Yeah.
But it won't cover him making an ass out of himself after the filming has concluded and before release.
Yeah, no, I mean, if the actor has a habit of that, like say a Richard Pryor, there were insurance companies that would take on that because there's an issue with that as a liability, but those insurance companies also had a stake in that potential person as well. So if they did it, they would still make money. Not so many. There's not really many situations where that's needed today that I know of, because I mean, there's stories where Richard Pryor would be on a set and then he would be missing for the day, and when you'd phone in and be like, "Well, where are you?" It's like, "I'm in Cleveland." It's like, "You're supposed to be in Los Angeles. You were here yesterday. How'd you get to Cleveland?" It's like, "I don't know." Those are like real situations that happened to him and a handful of other actors over the last 60 years that have had issues with alcohol and substance abuse. But with regards to behavior, I'm sure they could probably find a shady insurance company that could do that for Ezra. The problem is that is the studio that desperate to go that route for it? Otherwise, they're looking on basically health insurance, Also like NDAs, certain
because there's like completion insurances and stuff like that, but they wouldn't, like you just said, script. I don't think they would cover behavior usually,
no,
right?
not unless the actor is like a huge worldwide star and has a history of it, in which case they desperately want them because of the box office draw. Then they would be able to negotiate with.
But usually you get to a point where, like with Lindsay Lohan, where they just can't, like they just won't even take.
Well, there's a woman who was destroyed by Disney, and also her boyfriend from that '70s show did a number on her too.
Yeah.
I think he's working on that Zorro thing right now.
Good. Yeah, he is.
We'll see how it happens there. But yeah, she was destroyed by like the Disney mandates that were controlling her life, and then when she broke away and got free of that, she kind of went off the edge, and she didn't have a support system to rein her in, and yeah, she went through a nightmare of things of that nature. I feel sorry for her.
Well, and the other thing is you can do. That's the other problem in Hollywood is you can do just about anything you want off the set as long as you don't wind up in prison and show up to work. It seems like so. As long as he's not, causing an issue on the set, that's another issue. But now we have heard rumblings, Andre, isn't that correct, that he has been a bit difficult to work with at times?
We have. I mean, we've heard and this is even something that was it in Rolling Stone? I think it was. Where you had like reports from set where the guy appears to be. They did not use this word. This is my word, but this is what they're describing. Someone psychotic, someone where their grip on reality is slipping. That's kind of like what they described without putting it in those words. But when you have someone who keeps on going like, I don't know what I'm doing. And this is like someone who's spacing out, zoning out, acting like a loon. This is someone that's clearly mentally disturbed and not all there.
Yeah, and if you add alcohol and whatever other drugs to the mix, I'm sure that's not helping.
Yeah, that's gonna further enhance what issues were already present before. But there are issues there to begin with. And this guy, he certainly seems to have it in for women.
Yeah.
Because funny, all of these attacks are on women.
I think it's interesting because I want to propose this. Like, what do you bet the odds are going to be that sometime in the near future, Ezra is going to blame the makeup that he is wearing in photos like this that we're seeing on toxic effects that have screwed up his brain chemistry and caused him to act out this way?
He'd be better off.
He has to reach for some sort of scapegoat. Yeah, and the thing is, he has gone to public events looking like it's some sort of messed up costume gala, and it seems like a very plausible scapegoat that a publicist would say is like, yeah, he's experimented with makeups that weren't certified, they were toxic, they were leaking into his bloodstream, causing him to have hallucinations and psychotic episodes, and he's not responsible for his actions. I'm just waiting to see if that's going to be one of the excuses for this guy.
He's buying his makeup at the Dollar Tree.
Yeah, I was like thinking, I hope that he hasn't gone like public about which kind of makeup that he uses, so that he can blame Brand X.
I was going to say, yeah.
Because if he ever has made it public which makeup he's using, and then he starts blaming that makeup company, then he has a lawsuit on his hands.
Exactly, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
But again, for
remember when Charlie Sheen used tiger blood as his excuse for craziness and things of all the other natures. Like there's always an angle here if a celebrity wants to maintain their status and their ability to work again, what levels of desperation will they go to make it? I mean, even
it turns out that tiger blood is made out of pure cocaine, though, script doctor.
Well, I mean,
yeah, I was
Michael
about
Douglas
to say,
blamed his throat cancer on.
So just like saying cocaine is a hell of a drug, that's not good enough an excuse?
Yep. It's not, actually. No, it's not. Because here's the other part, too. There's this hypocrisy in town, which it's pretty valid, but some people like to live up to the truth of it, which is that on a studio, you really shouldn't be under any influence other than the high of normally being able to work and perform.
Oh my gosh.
Like if you're doing drugs, if you're inebriated and you walk on set, you're basically going to be ruining the day, and that's expensive. And
well, even Johnny talked about that today. He said like he basically flat out said he's like, you can't. He goes like
you can't and you shouldn't.
Yeah, well, not only that, he's like he goes he goes people come up to, because when he was being asked about his drug use, and they were asking, was it daily, was it when you were working? He's like, no. He goes, I could never work and be fucked up, basically, in so many words. He's like, when I did the Vegas film,
Fear and Loathing?
Fear and Loathing. He's like, most people, when they talk to me about it, they just assume that we just got fucked up and filmed ourselves. He's like, you could never get anybody who's fucked up to act. It's not how it works, right? Like, he goes, it's just impossible. And I'm sure, as you know, Script, if you've ever been on a set, and anybody who ever knows or watches even just like the small making of something, you can see you do something, you got to do it again, and you got to do it again, you got to do it again, and you're not doing like a whole performance usually in one take. It's usually bits and pieces, unless you're doing the master shot. But like, it's a very technical thing, right? And you have to be able to do the same thing or react in the same way over and over, and in different settings and in different situations,
or be able to change that based on a direction or
exactly. You can't be out of your fucking mind and expect to take any kind of fucking direction, is my point.
And that's why there's this quote of like, not so much a quote, but this sort of like soft rule that in Hollywood you're not supposed to be, you're supposed to be clean, so to speak, like in regards to like drugs and alcohol. Like, I mean, even the porn industry had that standard, which is like, if you show up on set and your blood test and they find out that there's cocaine in your system, you're ejected out immediately. Like, you don't get the hell out of here. Even if it was like from several days ago, they don't care. And even though Hollywood doesn't always live up to that rule, it's talked about honestly, because again, if someone were to come in on set inebriated or under the influence of anything, you potentially lose that day, and that could be anywhere from like hundreds of thousands of dollars to millions of dollars, depending on the level of production. And you don't want to be the person that has to explain that to the higher ups at the studios, like, why did we not get what we needed this day? Oh, you came in and you had a bump of whatever drug, and it's completely screwed up the ability for you to perform, and nobody could figure out any other way around it to salvage that day. Like, you just cost us this, you do that again, you're done. And like that's just the attitude you have. Now in between productions, they don't care. So that's your own choice. But when you're being paid to show up, whether you're an A-lister star or just a gaffer, in the corner, you better have all your faculties with you.
Well, and somebody who's been around it enough in my lifetime, I can say this: the drugs are a problem. Probably there could be drugs involved, but even if they are, they're not so much the problem. They're just exacerbating the problem, or however you want to put it. This kid clearly has some mental issues, and I don't mean the way he dresses. I just mean he has some violent, overreactive issues.
Temper tantrums that are scaled up to his age range, essentially. That's how I probably.
However you want to put it, he needs help. He needs to be committed in some way, shape, or form. I hate saying it.
I don't know about committed, but he needs to be reviewed,
at least evaluated,
evaluated and talked to, and
some help, like some kind of basically rehab situation. But yeah.
Well, I mean, rehab in Hollywood is not really rehab.
I know, that's the problem.
Yeah. He needs his mom to step in, and he probably needs better friends.
Honestly,
his mom is probably one of the people that
I was just going to say.
Encourages this.
I was about to say,
I don't think that she's going to help. Yeah,
that's sad.
Yeah, sadly, in these situations,
he probably needs some actual jail time to clean himself from like real jail time, not Hollywood jail time. Like, send him to a prison in Nebraska, and once he gets kind of straightened out there and realizes that there's consequences for actions of that behavior, then he can go into other programs to help rehabilitate himself.
And he's also probably going to need something for his mind. And depending on how fractured and how deeply his issues run, I mean, that's my concern, to the extent of which I have any there, is that he obviously has some level of mental instability, one way or the other. And I think it goes far beyond just like something that you can fix by going into jail.
No,
I might help a little bit, certainly for the old people he has assaulted, he should, but in conjunction with that, or before or after, he's going to need some major therapy.
Chances
I'm offended that no one is calling this guy out for that every single time it's a female. I mean, why does this guy get a pass?
He shouldn't.
Oh, because he's stunning and brave, or they is stunning and brave. They identify as a they them, and that gives a pass for most things.
Well, I think it's a piece of shit beta.
That might be very inapt to.
That's my new term for studying. That's my new term for studying.
Well, and you bring up a very good point, Mike, and this is kind of why I was asking it earlier. And this is kind of the thing is we've gotten to this point here with this is when will they start making that point? Is like, okay, you want this to be a thing where it's a they them thing. We're not supposed to see Ezra as a man, but yet do you want him held to the same standard that any other normal man would be, quote unquote, in quotations, in a sense that if I threw a fucking chair at 6 right now, let's see how well that would work out. Right?
You'd be dead, motherfucker.
Well, not if you didn't kill me, but like the fact is I'd be in jail, right? Like I'd be like, arrest me, she's gonna fucking kill me.
I don't think you would get to jail because 6 would kill you.
Exactly. Like, and that's the other thing is like, I just don't get this. Like, if any guy normally would have this much aggression towards women, somebody would be making a bigger deal of it, right?
Well, I mean, it should be regardless. Like, even if he wants to go to the they them part, he's another individual that is attacking specifically one gender.
Yeah. So let's replace Ezra Miller with Chris Pratt, someone who's basically on the other end of the spectrum. Right?
It would have been Ragnarok.
Yeah. Exactly. And they're trying to cancel him right now on some other things, and we'll get into that shit. Again, because they just can't let up. They cannot let up with Chris Pratt.
Oh yeah, no, it's him they're after, but he's not the they them. He is assigned a conservative by the activist, and they hate him for it. But before then, I just want to say I don't remember who it was, but someone said that give it 10 years, and Ezra is going to be like Jamie Gump from Silence of the Lambs.
Oh Jesus!
Oh boy.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you've seen the movie, then
would you fuck me? I'd fuck me.
His aggression against women, right there.
Well, that's because he hated women because he wanted to be one, isn't that?
Yeah, and wasn't that some shit that went back to his mom and shit too?
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't. It may not be in the movie, but I think it's in the book. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know why that came up, but we brought up his mother.
Just like saying that this dude, he has some. Or this stunning and beautiful they has some deeply rooted issues, I think.
And that's what I was saying about the things he was saying at that premiere, because it was almost like it could be stuff that could be interpreted in a way like he has dealt with probably some kind of, I wouldn't say abuse, but definitely being used in Hollywood, probably because of his sexuality. Maybe that's the case, or however he was kind of putting out these like cryptic things out there and about being free now or something like that. I can't remember exactly how he put it, but it was just extremely strange. And that was just hours before he got arrested the last time. So, yeah, we'll see how this goes here for him, but I don't think he can avoid this much longer. And Warner Brothers definitely can't ignore it for much longer. Adam Wolford says, I know another time where they put a movie on ice. It still hasn't been released. The Rock's Spy Hunter movie. The rumor is done, but not released. I'm not aware of this one.
I heard about that, but that's ages ago, so it's been delayed, huh?
Yeah, I remember hearing about that. Its production, God, like what, 2016 maybe? Or earlier?
Oh wow! I can't believe a Rock movie would be shelved.
Yeah, there's something's weird there.
There's got to be something going on with that, yeah. Because the only other ones I can think of are stuff like, the day the clown cried or whatever, the Jerry Lewis movie, and some rare occurrences like that. But even then, like even an insurance company is not going to cover the reshoots for somebody's behavior like this. It's just not going to happen. They're just going to be like, well, tough titty, little kitty, you made a choice. You got to stick with it, or you got to figure it out for yourself. They just don't. I don't think they really cover that kind of a thing. Adam Wolford sends in another one and says, Charlotte, I think it means Charlie, Sheen was trying to become Snowflame, a supervillain powered by cocaine, got AIDS instead. I was thinking about that. Chances are he might have tried Tiger Blood. I mean, he probably wasn't kidding. Somebody probably told him the cures AIDS.
Well, I mean, he has a doctor who may or may not have found a vaccine for that.
Yeah, it sounds like he's pretty well handled. He may be the guy to cure it for us. Who knows?
He's okay. Like he's not sure really living.
Well, look at Magic Johnson too. I mean,
Magic Johnson. Oh, there's also a couple of like high-profile journalists that have it as well. So
Yeah, it seems like if they catch it early enough and they get the right kind of treatments,
Mm-hmm.
there's kind of no excuse at this point. We're getting so far along with this that it's like, yeah, it's clear that you're dragging this out for monetary reasons and not anybody's real self-being. But we don't need to get shut down.
The only thing I want to say about it, which hopefully is not going to get us shut down, is if there had been someone else overseeing the research into that particular condition than the person most.
Are you talking about the same person who we just had dealing with this stuff just a little bit ago?
Yes, he was the prophet of the science, that guy. Because as more and more comes out, that guy is single-handedly responsible for there not being a cure. If there had been anyone else in charge, probably would have had it cured many times over.
Honestly, I'm going to say this about that guy. He deserves what he did to those puppies. Anyway, Ironcaster says, like how Chris Farley was clean on set, but not off. Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And this is...
Actually, he was clean up until the premiere. It's usually when he saw the movie and he was depressed, except for Tommy Boy. Tommy Boy is the only one he wasn't depressed by. But all the others, he was...
Well, he would usually celebrate too, though, but yeah.
No, he was depressed by, and then he would go to those things to sort of not feel depressed. And then he would have his group of friends that would take him out and then, encourage that behavior over and over again. Bob Odenkirk has a great interview, a couple of interviews actually, about, Chris Farley, because those two created the Matt Foley character back in the sketch comedy days before SNL.
Brandon, the anime guy, is a new member. Thank you so much. He is at the maximum effort puppy level. So we're going to get a maximum effort puppy here. Here we go. Thank you for that, Brandon, who also had a super chat. Well, there you go. Get up there. Get up there.
That's like me going up the stairs during tax season.
That's me going up the stairs all the time. And strut. Brandon, the anime guy, says, Ezra Miller has major issues. He needs to have his ass kicked and needs help. First ass kicked, second help, third step away. Also, hail to all the awesome panel. Well, thank you, Brandon.
Hi, Brandon. Brandon's a friend of mine.
Well, it's like, I mean, I'm not even one who's going to advocate that he necessarily needs hard jail time or anything like that. Because, I mean, granted, he's been violent, but nobody's been hurt that bad yet. But something does need to be done before that does happen. And he definitely needs to be held accountable. Exactly. Well, and technically, I've told this story before, and that is actually assault with a deadly weapon. I have a story about that, but that is kind of funny but weird. Like, because there's this couple I know, they're still together, mind you. They were the high school sweethearts, right? Well, they got in a fight, as they always do, and the cops got called because they lived in a trailer court. So somebody always ended up calling the cops because they would get too loud. Well, in the midst of telling the cops what was going on, all of a sudden the cops started to handcuff Crystal, the girl. And she's like, why the fuck are you handcuffing me? And the cop's like, because you said you threw a toaster at him. And she's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, that's assault with a deadly weapon. So, like,
it wasn't plugged in.
It doesn't matter. Any blunt object can be considered a deadly weapon. So, oh, shit.
Well, maybe the chair that Ezra threw was one of those wrestling chairs that doesn't really hurt.
Oh, anything. Shit. Even those hurt from what we hear. Go check out, what was it, Roddy Piper, I think it was, wasn't it? On Politically Incorrect, when Bill Maher tried to say, oh, wrestling is fake. And he's like, you want to know about fake? You want to know how wrestling is fake? And he's talking about all the fucking damage he's had and all that shit. It's like, yeah. He's like, that's how fucking fake it is. It's like,
it may be scripted, but those guys, they can take a beating. I mean, most normal people do what they do, and they're
exactly
killed. They're going to be in a world of hurt. Let's put it that way.
So yeah, they have to do it correctly. I mean, it's performance, but sometimes some things really happen, or accidents
even the stunt
happen.
stuff can get you hurt.
And on top of it, even on the amateur circuit, a lot of that stuff unfortunately is real. I went to two.
Oh, they'll use razors and shit on the amateur circuit.
I've never seen any razors, but I saw a guy ask a patron to get out of his chair. And then he picked it up, and then he broke it over the back of the head of another wrestler, and there was a lot of blood. And he won that match, but the ambulance came and picked him up. Picked up the.
Well, they don't use They don't use the actual razors during the wrestling. What they'll do is they'll have a razor hidden, and then when the guy supposedly hits them hard with something, they'll actually cut themselves so they're bleeding. That used to be the whole gimmick they would do.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. That's how committed these guys were that shit. Yeah, I don't think they did too much of that in WWF and stuff like that, but they may have. Dash Attack says Pratt is a superstar and his career outside of Disney is a career. Yeah, that's what I figured. Is stellar. This is true. Ezra is a train wreck who needs help, and that's why I keep saying Warner Brothers, because at this point, I don't think anybody touched him with a 10-foot pole. As like Warner is kind of stuck with him because of the Beast thing and the DC thing right now.
Well, I mean, I would not be surprised if Fantastic Beasts had some sort of moment in the first act where his character has been,
I don't think they're going to get another one after this.
It's looking terrible. Yeah,
it's looking very.
It's going to lose upwards of $100 million. That franchise is toast.
It's done. And then anyway, Dash Attack finishes. Pronouns won't save him. Not likely this time out, especially with the women thing, right? Like if he had gotten into it with a couple of guys and some other shit too, maybe.
If you could blame it on some Trump supporters or something, he'd be a hero. But it's like
that's what I'm saying. He'd use it to his advantage.
To defend.
That's what I'm saying. He'd definitely use it to his advantage if he could. In this case, I don't think there's much he can do to use that as a defense. He'll try probably though.
Is Ezra transitioning?
Not that I know of, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does use that as some kind of excuse.
I'm sure that's going to come right now. That it's he is very sorry, but he's acting up because of his transitioning.
Well, he does look a lot like Ruby Rose.
So. Yeah, because Steven deleted scenes. He's brought up the self-deletion point a few times, and I believe, and don't quote me, but I wish I had my facts straight, but I believe that 40% of people who transition, whether it's to male or to female, that they at some point attempt suicide, and that statistic applies whether they fully transition or whether they don't. It's just it starts with the feeling initially of wanting to change.
I don't know the statistics either, but I think you're close on that. And actually, I think they're on the rise, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So whether they find the community that they need for transitioning and they go ahead with the surgery and the drugs and all of that, they still have that sense of unhappiness within them.
I'm not sure. I mean, I get where you're coming from. I'm not sure he can use that as an excuse here, though. I mean, he'll try to.
Yeah.
But, I mean, these actions are clearly... They're getting too many too soon, too often. They have a pattern. He don't like women.
Especially clearly, pregnant women.
Yeah, especially pregnant women, obviously. Maybe he is jealous. You're right, Six. But yeah, that's an interesting point there. Adam Wolford says the Rock's movie and game based on Spy Hunter, the game was so bad that it killed the movie, which being made at the same time, this is right as he got out of wrestling and The Mummy 2 in early 2000s. So did the movie actually ever get finished then? Because I still can't believe they wouldn't have released it even under some different name.
I don't know. I remember there was a Spy Hunter in 2011.
I was going to say
not a movie. I think that was a video game, and then I remember hearing The Rock's name brought up about that. But that's about as far as it goes, because I thought that movie was made, when The Rock was Dwayne The Rock Johnson was like actually a real star, because he wasn't really a real star during The Mummy. At least The Mummy
Not yet.
The Scorpion King thing, and like that happened a few years after that. In fact, it happened a few years after his Doom movie.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of built up the cameo, but yeah, he wasn't the Rock yet. Like the movie star Rock yet. No. But yeah. So I did not know about that. That's interesting. Commandant VHS says Ezra always seems to be assaulting women. Yeah, we were just talking about this point. I know you might have sent this in before we were kind of getting deep into the discussion on it. Blah, blah. If I could fucking talk. But yeah, that to me bothers me the most. Because like I said, if he'd gotten into random fights with all kinds of different people, I don't think that would be such an issue here. But I think that people need to make a point of that. At least they should. Because I don't think his sexual preferences should give him a pass, let's say.
Well, where are all the men who are around him when he's assaulting these women. I can't imagine.
I don't think they are around him.
I can't imagine being in a bar and having a man assault me and not having a bunch of guys come and pile on him.
True.
Or my friends who were with me.
Well, I mean, even in the one video, you got, you know, the guys that are standing around going, hey, bro, like when he takes that one chick down. But yeah. I mean, maybe that's when he takes off and scrambles, because that's usually what he sounds like he does. He'll do something and then
run away like a child.
Run away like a child.
Yeah,
because they always find him on some street somewhere.
Well, that's why I liken it to a temper, because you just scale up the severity of it with his age. Like a 5-year-old who throws like a toy at, you know, a parent or another kid. I mean, it's still not great, but it's rarely going to be incredibly harmful. But when you scale that up to a man who's pushing 30. And he's willing to like drive a car or throw, in this case, a chair or something of nature at a human being, like that's terrible. But the core root of it is the fact that something has triggered him, and he's literally throwing a temper like a child, especially if the reports are that he does an action and then runs away. I mean, there's nothing more immature. I mean, regardless of any simple action of violence, it's incredibly immature to basically just have that type of behavior in any situation.
Yeah, that's the truth. Well, we're through those super chats, so let's move on to the other bit of news we had here. Thor, the Thor Love and Thunder trailer, debuted to 209 million views in one day, which puts it, I believe, in third place behind Avengers Endgame and Spider-Man No Way Home. So that bodes well for the film there. Now, pretty much everybody here on the panel has had something to say about the trailer so far, other than Six and Script, I believe. Or did we have you on the other day, Script? I can't remember.
I was on with the Andre's birthday yesterday.
Yeah, we were talking about it. So Six, you're the only one who hasn't really had a chance to speak publicly, at least on our forum, about this. So let's start with you. Did you enjoy the trailer?
I did very much. It looks like a good time. But I don't have an emotional attachment to Thor. I'm a fan of the series. I'm a fan of all the Marvel films. But if it flops, okay, it's, you know, it's not like it's Star Wars where it's going to crush me. So it just like Matt Kadish said, it looks fun.
All right, Mike, did you want to say anything more about the trailer? Are you surprised it's got this many views?
I'm not surprised it's got this many views because there's been a thirst for stuff out. I think they're, you know, the main characters haven't really been out there for a while. So I think I'm not surprised at the volume. I'm going to repeat what I said yesterday in the show, which is less than 30 seconds, which I'm not an excited movie where Thor kisses a blue chick and then some chick who's like 4'3" and dropped a plastic hammer on stage on video is actually catching that fucking hammer. So this movie can kiss my ass out of the gate.
I think it's laughable that people thought Natalie Portman actually worked out for this.
Yep.
She didn't.
Oh, there's a big
fake muscles and things of that nature. She
big
did
to do
yoga.
So was that CGI then? That ending
No, it's
shot?
not CGI. It's a muscle suit. They have these really cool practical like silicone muscles that they can put on there, and then they match the skin tone for it. And that's what they do. And she's only 5'1" like she's not very tall. She's a tiny person.
See, I'm a gym rat. I love working out, and I was super excited when I saw her muscles, but now I guess.
No, those are fake. And some of the photos that show her with a mask, that's not her. That's her stunt double with some of the arms. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't think it looked much like her. I did a really fun experiment. Because I was like thinking, wait, didn't we do a video on how amazing the trailer for Thor Ragnarok was? So I compared the teaser trailer, which is what this is, for Thor Ragnarok with the teaser trailer for this one. And it's a night and day difference in how entertaining the trailers make the movie look. So anyone who wants to repeat that experiment, go and check out the teaser for Thor Ragnarok and then compare it with the teaser for this and see which movie looks more interesting.
I'm just hopeful, I guess.
Yeah, and full disclosure, I'm a huge fan of Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, I loved Thor Ragnarok too. But yeah, this one I'm not sold on yet. But there was another bit of news. As I said on Twitter, I just don't have enough sakes to fuck for this right now. Marvel
this is
fans,
just like what Poe and Finn thing, right?
Yes.
Just because these two guys, like, do they not get the joke? Is that Thor is kind of self-absorbed and he thinks he's the center of the universe, and that's why he's doing that?
Exactly.
No, they don't get that script.
No.
They just got to reach for anything so that they can be like, look, it's just like us. It's like, no, you're desperate and disingenuous.
I mean, this thing is so ridiculous to me. When it's like, it would be like saying, "Oh my God, Tom likes tacos. He's Mexican, just like me."
Yeah, essentially.
Right? Yeah.
Oh
That's
God.
a great analogy. Right
Oh my
there,
God,
yeah.
Script ate a
But I
jalapeno.
do love tacos.
Script is in transition to becoming Mexican.
I actually had
Can you
jalapenos
do
this
that?
morning for breakfast. Yeah.
I think it helps with the transition.
Can you really do that?
Hashtag Mexican, Team Mexicans in transition, hashtag.
I might be
eating
Max.
Norwegian taco pizza help?
That might make you a Norwegian.
Oh, that's what
Norwegian.
I forgot to mention that in my super chat. I wanted you to play that thing yesterday for your birthday, the pizza thingy.
Oh, right, yeah.
God, that's so funny. Yeah,
I can play it now.
Andre's Mexican. Andre's more Mexican. Andre is Mexican too. You're Mexican. Tom's Mexican. 6, you're Mexican. Mexican.
So yeah, the basics is a bunch of people are now assuming that the Thor is gay.
Yeah, because he kissed that girl with the blue hair, right?
He kissed a girl and he liked it, according to Stuff, which is a thing, I guess.
Sorry, I gotta mute myself. I'm laughing.
The new teaser trailer for Thor: Love and Thunder has many new fans convinced that Chris Hemsworth. I gotta make this bigger. Sorry, this is like tiny fucking hay. The new teaser for Thor: Love and Thunder has many new fans convinced that Chris Hemsworth's titular character is a member of the gay superhero community. Released on Tuesday, the teaser for what is Maori? Is that where he's from? Director Taika Waititi upcoming new Marvel film has quickly racked up 50. This is already just yesterday, so this is just only 15 million views. It's done a lot more than that now, including a flirtatious exchange between the God of Thunder and Chris Pratt's character Star-Lord that has set the internet alight.
Oh my God! If they think this is flirtation, then that explains why there's such a rise in sexual miscommunications and assaults.
Yeah. They must think we're fucking Script. Remember what I told you, Star-Lord, a.k.a. Peter Jason Quill, says while addressing Thor and the Guardians of the Galaxy, adding, if you ever feel lost, just look into the eyes of the people that love you. Or that you love, sorry. Thor immediately sticks his head into the shot directly in front of Star-Lord, seemingly hoping this sentiment is aimed directly at him before Quill appears to shut him down, saying, not me. Thor then lets out an awkward chuckle and replies, what? Just listening. The social media reaction was swift, and many fans celebrating Thor as a newly confirmed gay member of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. As you see here, Thor is gay. We won. I don't know what you won, but crappy version of the game, I guess. I don't know.
Well, Forbes did an article about this too, and they said Disney fans, starved of queer representation, immediately understood that the scene would inspire fanfic writers and artists to imagine the two characters in a sexual relationship. So that's what they won. They got their representation.
Flash film, yeah.
Are they starved of anything? I mean, considering that they're wildly overrepresented at Disney, I wouldn't think they would be starving for anything. But I guess, yeah, if the goal is 50% representation, step in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as you see here, the nonsense just goes on and on. And then, of course, there's no way Thor is thousands of years old, and I don't think he ain't ever been a little gay.
I don't think I'll ever be that bored with men to turn gay. I don't care how long I live.
You know, it's awesome.
Mike needs to be put back together now.
Oh, Mike blew up.
I just lost it. Well, that was supposed to be Thor's hammer sound because of the pic that's on the screen.
Well,
look, Tom, we're like a team. I'm like your sound effects guy.
I was like taken aback by that. I was like, what the fuck was that? Did you see somebody on Twitter actually slapped on the Masters of the Universe logo on this? And they said, like, the new He-Man movie looks awesome.
It does look a little bit like that. Of course, even then it would suck, but yeah.
Okay, so if we never get no more teasers, no more trailers, would you go see this movie opening day?
Not opening day, no. Maybe a week after.
Nope.
Okay.
I'm going to say yes just because. I'm going to say yes, Mike, just because I loved Thor Ragnarok.
Okay, well, I'm vetoing you. The correct answer is no.
Okay, I'm gonna go. I'll let y'all know how it is.
Well,
You're gonna go. You should take Tom. Take Tom. Go pick him up.
I'd love to
you live
take
too
Tom.
far away. I already live far enough away from the fucking theater. I'm very proud of this romantic comedy. Blah 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 blah. Okay, yeah, they just talk more. Like, okay, first of all, this is just redonkulous. Who wants to start on this shit? I just can't even with this.
It's about Chris Pratt.
Well, I already read it all pretty much. I mean, what else is there to say? These idiots fucking. These are the same fucking idiots who tried to ship the Babadook with It, and then decided that It was no longer an ally because he killed those two gay guys or whatever, or that gay guy in the beginning of the second film. It's like, did you fuckers not read the book?
Yeah, well, desperation is not a great attribute when it comes to these types of situations, and that's kind of what we're seeing here, because I don't understand why they need that. It's like, shouldn't they just be lobbying for, please give us an original compelling character that general audiences can love and also fit within our lifestyle parameters? I mean, I understand why Hollywood doesn't want to do that. It's a lot of work and advertising to get that to trend and be as big as something like Thor and the Guardians of the Galaxy, but you don't really want, sloppy seconds or derivative hand-me-down or any of that nature. It just feels like you're being placated to, as opposed to being actually embraced, which I think is what they would rather prefer, is to have an honest embrace, as opposed to, okay, here's your little treat, go sit in the corner and shut up attitude that you would normally get from these types of things.
Sounds like
I'm silencing the room real easily tonight.
They want more than a warm embrace, it sounds like here. I mean, just saying. All right, this is getting out of hand with me. I don't know what to say anymore with this. I can't. All I can say is we'll be right back.
Respeto a grandiosa. ¿Has oído? ¿Has visto? Inspecta si estado. Es solo vegetariano, te resiste tentado. En Delico hemos tragar el menú. Gracias, papi. Es solo uno Rex en este bio. Hablamos nacho pizza. Hablamos hamburguesa. Hablamos por tu comida. Tapas de nacho, para sol, para niños el crispa. Ocho nacho topping, grandiosa nacho pizza. Nacho pizza, hablamos hamburguesa. Hablamos por tu comida.
It's a 2-pack, and I now want to go watch The Three Amigos again.
Those little horses are so cute.
I literally just did like a title for a bullet point on a video.
I'm playing the replay right now on my headphones.
That's what I'm doing.
That was a catchy tune.
Yeah. So, anyway, back to this Thor business. Andre, you've been awfully quiet.
Yeah, well, it's 3 a.m. in the morning here, and I just recorded a video, so
that I'm trying to edit. Well,
yeah, I know. So I shouldn't be complaining with it.
Andre, would you like to welcome Thor to the community on behalf of all Norsemen? No.
Actually, it's actually funny because when you mentioned the Norse thing, because there's actually one of the original Thor stories in Norse mythologies where he specifically is afraid of doing something because he doesn't want to be called gay.
Rodrow.
Yeah, like it's in Trimskvida, which is a few stories in from where I'm at in Norse mythology. But basically what happens is that Mjolnir is stolen by Trim, who is a big troll. And in order to get Mjolnir back again, Thor has to cross-dress like a woman, because this is Loki's master plan. Because Trim doesn't see too well. But Thor, he's initially hesitant because the other Norse god will call him Rasnirin if he does that, which was the Vikings' slur word for a gay person. So the Norse god Thor is not going to be welcoming Marvel's Thor into that community anytime soon.
Uh-oh.
That makes Thor sound very problematic. Uh-oh.
But it also shows that he has to sacrifice certain parts of his ego to, achieve his goal. I mean, I love the conflict in that story, but I gotta find that and read it.
Yeah, and then Six sent this here, and this is, I think they actually bring this up later in this article anyway, but who cares? Because we're going to go to this one anyway because it's more reputable than Stuff.
I have to say, that's a kind of cool name for a publication, though. Stuff.
Yeah, did you read Stuff today? Yeah, I read lots of stuff.
I read lots of stuff.
Not even capitalized.
No. So I got my free article. Good. So yeah, Thor: Love and Thunder trailer sparks mass mockery of Chris Pratt.
Exactly. There we have it.
Yes.
Because what's really behind the story here is all the people who have it in for Chris Pratt and wanting to count out to those people. I think they wrote that there specifically to make Star-Lord gay, so that all of the activists can point and laugh.
Yeah, I think that might be the case here. So let's run through this real quick. The first Thor: Love and Thunder trailer has arrived, teasing the dynamic between Thor and the Guardians of the Galaxy and giving fans their first official look at Natalie Portman's Lady Thor. Oh, they used Lady Thor! Uh-oh. Disney's not going to be happy with that. Taika Waititi's distinctive sense of humor shines through the trailer. It does. Okay. And one particular
James Gunnish, actually.
I was going to say there's only one scene I really chuckled at. And one particular scene caught the attention of the fans, prompting mass mockery of the MCU actor Chris Pratt. In the trailer, Star-Lord gives his team a pep talk in which he mentions being inspired by looking into the eyes of people you love, leading to an awkward moment with Thor gazing into Star-Lord's eyes. Disney fans starved of queer
Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I said before. Like, are they starved when they're so wildly overrepresented already?
Well, Disney, where's my 4K of Rocky Horror Picture Show that you won't let people show in theaters?
And when they're doing that, I'll take me a 4K of the Black Hole.
There you go. Yeah, while you're at it.
I just need a pizza.
They didn't realize the Black Hole was that movie, though, Andre. So that's the problem. So yeah. Anyway, here. Pizza does sound good. Disney fans starved of queer representation immediately understood that the scene would inspire fanfic writers and artists to imagine the two characters in sexual relationship. On Twitter, this leads to mass mockery of Pratt fans as fans imagined his discomfort filming the scene. Okay.
What?
I'm not sure about that. Marvel trying to restore Chris Pratt's image by making him gay bait with Thor is the worst form of punishment that I can think of. The most annoying fan base in the world is going to have him bottoming for Thor on AO3 for years to come. My condolences. Well. Do you think Chris Pratt is punching the pillows in his trailer, knowing Taika has him shooting gay little scenes with Chris Hemsworth? Unstoppable Force, Taika White making everything gay versus Immovable Object, Chris Pratt being homophobic.
No, he's not.
Where is this? Yeah, this is the biggest fallacy ever. Fucking Christ. Marvel making Chris Pratt part of their next queerbait ship is actually the funniest thing they've ever done, according to Maya on Twitter. Pratt, who has never spoken publicly about his political belief, is widely considered a socially conservative and possibly anti-LGBTQ. They forgot a Q there on their gay BCs. Due to this allegiance to the Zoe Church, an evangelical church whose pastor, Chad Veach, once produced a film that refers to same-sex attraction as a form of sexual brokenness.
I know a lot of people that patron churches that don't 100% agree with their priests.
I mean, let's get into some beliefs on some other religions that, and how they treat their women and other people in there. Let's not.
There's that, but also the other part too is like Chris Pratt is I mean, he professes to be a Christian, but he's really just trying to be one, because there's a lot of fairly supported rumors that, the reason he's got divorced from his first wife is because he cheated on her, which I would say is very unchristian-like behavior. So, I mean, he's trying, and let him try. And if he wants to be a better man, I'm all for him trying to be a better man. There's nothing wrong with that. You kind of want to encourage better behavior. And how he goes about doing that, and as long as he's not bringing harm to others, that's the best path he can take, really.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not an overly religious guy, but there's a lot worse things you could be. Anyway, let's see here. If you're a famous actor and you belong to an organization that hates a certain group of people, don't be surprised if someone simply wonders why it's not addressed. What about all the Muslims? Pratt responded defensively, writing on Instagram, I go to a church that opens their doors to absolutely everyone. Regardless of what Pratt really believes behind closed doors, young socially conscious MCU fans have already made up their minds, perhaps persuaded by Pratt's vibes rather than hard evidence. The actor tends to play obnoxious, annoying, earnest characters which might have contributed to his image as an out-of-touch uncle in a manga hat.
Yeah, I don't think that's his character so much as I think it's the social media, because there's plenty other characters or actors who come across as far more MAGA-like characters than Chris Pratt on screen, but they virtue signal all the more in real life, so they're like protected. Whereas that's the sin that Chris Pratt hasn't done. He's openly a Christian, at least he's trying to be, and that's a sin in its own right, I think, to quite a good chunk of people. And worse yet, he hasn't come out and virtue signaled and repeated all of the keywords that they want him to repeat. And that's like the biggest sin. That's like, oh, so you won't show that you are with us. Well, then we'll assume that you're with them.
I would love to see them try to come out against somebody who say Islam. But anyway,
you know what's wrong with these? What's wrong with these morons is that they regard it as an us versus them versus a why can't we all just get along?
Right, that's what pisses me off.
Why can't we all just fucking get along? And you know what? You want to talk who has a case to bitch? Mexicans have, Latins have, Hispanics have a case to bitch. We're like 25% of the population. What's lesbian, gay, straight, trans? 2, 10 tops. Black folks are what? 9.5 nationally. We're like 30% of the entire effing fucking country. You don't see any of us bitching about shit. None of us. We don't bitch about any of this shit.
That's fair, and the other part too is that that 30% is one of the reasons why Fast and Furious is such a financial success, because the Latin audience absolutely loves those films.
Yeah, what a time to get your white card, huh, Mike?
Dude, I'm telling you, exactly. Well, Tom, Script, did I tell you I checked my birth certificate for my passport and it said Caucasian? Hashtag 2020.
I'm not kidding. I was not only half joking, because, like, yeah, now you are basically considered white. So how's that white privilege working out for you? You get it in a time when they're trying to take away what this so-called white privilege.
Well, I haven't found much privilege. Like,
exactly.
I haven't seen any. I like this. I've heard good stories of how the getting was good, but I haven't seen anything. Nope.
Well, it's because we changed the rules as soon as you guys showed up. See, that's how it works.
Yeah. Well,
I'm kidding, of course. But anyway, Lord Almighty. Moving on here. According to Adrian, so Marvel confirmed that Peter Quill is bisexual and Thor is pansexual. Please, I feel sorry for Chris Pratt. Like, imagine being homophobic and then you find out that your character's bisexual. LMFAO. This is so humiliating. Yeah, like, gay people have never been played by straight people ever in the history of Hollywood. Never. Never, ever, ever. Ever. Ever.
Why is Peter bisexual and Thor is pansexual?
Because they have to put all these fucking labels on everything now, Six. Okay. That's why.
And also because being gay simply isn't good enough. As a number of gay writers have found out that there's just...
Your ESG score goes up astronomically with every letter.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. Like, that's only a half joke. That's the problem. You can't even make fucking jokes about this shit because it's true. Yeah, Chris Pratt in the trailer after filming that scene, I'm sure he didn't give a fuck. These just go on and on. If you ever feel lost, just remember what I told you. Look into the eyes of people. Yeah, okay, we already saw that. Thor himself, actor Chris Hemsworth, remains beloved by Marvel fans, probably because he believes his beliefs, religious or otherwise, to himself. Well, so has Chris. You just said that earlier in the same fucking article, Forbes. Jesus Christ. You call this fucking journalism? I'm sorry.
Nope. I call it a hack job of writing.
Like, honestly, I would call Andre out for something like that if he missed that in an editorial. It'd be like, you just said the absolute fucking same thing twice, insinuating that the other thing, right? Like, and you would expect me to do so. But I don't think you ever make that mistake.
I mean that's what you have, like, someone else reading and approving for. Specifically to catch stuff like that.
Yeah, and I would be like, oh, I think you missed this or you misinterpreted what you're saying here. That's my first reaction. This guy's clearly trying to project like a motherfucker. Danny DePlacido. Who are you trying to be? The next fucking, what's his face? My favorite over there. Sorry, this article just pissed me off. We got some super chats. Let me say we get to those. Rave Girl says Demi Moore got ripped for G.I. Jane. Pattinson didn't work out for Batman, and Portman didn't work out for Thor. Where's the dedication with these actors? Well, they don't want to set a bad precedent, according to Pattinson.
Exactly. They'll be part of the problem if they do.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard that the big debate online yesterday was whether or not she really worked out for it. And I don't know if you got to finish watching Toxic Femme last night, but I think I kind of settled that debate pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, if you see recent photos of her, sure, her arms look exactly as they did prior to the production, and when you work out, you can't lose that much muscle mass that quickly.
You don't even need that, though. I've got photos of the same fucking day.
Yeah.
Here, I'll show everybody.
They pulled on her sleeves, her muscle sleeves. Yeah.
Well, I think she's got some kind of thing on her chest, like to puff her chest up, is what it is. It's just no different than, it's like, oh, do you believe that fucking Robin Williams' arms are that big in Popeye? That was made in 1980, kids. Like, yeah. They can do this shit. It's called movie fucking magic, right?
I thought they put her head on somebody else's body.
It's not. This is like the oldest, like some of the oldest stuff. Like, and that's why even Lofty Pixels, who was one of the people who was arguing with everybody, he said something about it too. And I just posted under, you know what I posted under him? A GIF of Eddie Murphy in the fat suit going, Hercules, Hercules, Hercules. And I think he got my point because no answer after that.
I think he's been suspended for.
Oh, well, anyway, I think I made my point with that. It's like, it's not like you can't alter what somebody looks like very easily in Hollywood. In fact, people win an Oscar for this every year.
Well, makeup artists especially.
Exactly my point. They made Eddie Murphy into a family of fat people, right? I think they can make a chick like this look like she's
a 90-pound, 5'2" actress look like a bodybuilder. Yeah.
Mm. I guess I'm a sucker. I wanted to believe she had really worked out.
She would never do that because that would just ruin her for all these other roles that she'd be doing right after Thor.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Andre has to be checking out here. He needs some sleep because we got a morning show and a video to finish for. I'm assuming it's going to be for morning now, unless you wake up in the next 3 hours.
I'm assuming you have it in 2.
Okay, well, we can maybe get it up tonight.
I'll put the alarm.
All right, well, I'll try and wrap this up here soon. We're already heading on 2 hours, so and we've hit pretty much all the main basic topics. So
yeah, well, we can 2-3 hours. That's when I want to drop that video.
All right. I'll do my best, sir.
And
take care of yourself.
Perfect. So yeah, well, everyone.
I don't know if I can do it, Campit, but I'll give it my best.
I know you will. So I look forward to having it in like 2 hours.
All right. See you then, sir.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Good night.
Have a good nap.
Yeah,
and then thank you, Rave Girl, as well for this super chat. We appreciate that. Adam Wolford says, wait, does that mean I'm Japanese because I sleep with one? I'm also Chinese too because I ate Chinese food today. You did? Awesome. Also Mexican, all of the Mexican food I ate yesterday. Wait. What? I'm French? No. Did you have French fries or French toast?
Maybe he French kissed.
Oh.
Does that mean if you French kiss somebody, they're French now too?
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Oh my God, this is so awesome. I could totally be a fucking Ninja Turtle now. Thank you, Adam Wolford.
What?
I'm so
You
jazzed.
French kissed a turtle?
As far as you know, I didn't.
Okay.
Yet.
Hey, okay.
I need to find a ninja at the same time. That's how this works. I got to try and work this out, kiss them both at the same time, you know.
Tom's looking for a turtle furry to make out
I need
with.
a ninja and a turtle, and I think I can get this done. Nikki D says the MCU stands have been emboldened with this LGBTQ plus representation when they made Loki half gay. I'm just pointing and laughing at this nonsense. Yeah, that was another thing I was going to bring up before too, Nikki, is they already did it to Loki as well. I remember, yeah. And they had him making out with his female version on top of it, which is just kind of weird. Or whatever it was. I need a turtleneck. No, I need a turtle. I don't want a turtleneck. Action Com is in the house. How you doing, buddy? It says at Mike. Mike, you here?
What? Yes.
What do you think of the
Hello?
school? Yep. What do you think of the schoolhouse cafeteria Mexican pizza? Are you a fan of such hexagonal goodness?
Oh my God, that's so funny that
You got Mexican pizza in your cafeteria? We got the dots, like the dots.
I cannot believe he mentioned that, because let me tell you this much. We usually got, was it Tuesdays or Wednesdays? It wasn't Mondays or Fridays, because Fridays we always got fish sticks.
Usually Tuesdays at our school.
Yeah, I think it was Tuesday. Dude, I would trade for that shit. Like, I would trade baseball cards and other collector cards.
Looking back on it now, what all they did was take a piece of cardboard, put ketchup on it, some fake fucking looking, I don't know if it was cheese or not. And then, like I said, the pepperoni dots. They're so fucking cheap, they couldn't even get pepperoni, right? They just threw on the pepperoni dots. And that's
What are pepperoni dots?
They're like the little itty bitty chunks
like
of
Slim
pepperoni.
Jims.
Yeah.
They're Slim Jims chopped up. The thing is that we never had, at our school cafeteria, we had it was sponsored by one of the mass-produced food companies up here. I think.
See, some of the bigger schools in our area had that, right? Like they had Pizza Hut and KFC and stuff like that in their cafeteria.
No, those are restaurants. I'm talking when you go to the store and you buy the name brand of French fries in the bag, like that type of company.
Wow. Script went to fancy.
Yeah, but you're Canadian.
Yeah. That's fancy pants.
Yeah.
That's why Script is so smart now, because he got that good nutrition.
Yeah.
See, we used to look up to you guys, and not just because we had to geographically.
Me and Tom got cardboard. That's why we talked.
No, we're not kidding. It was fucking cardboard. It was like one step away from cardboard.
That's terrible. Oh gosh, that is really bad.
But we loved it. We fucking loved it.
And I loved it. Like right now I'm hungry. Like just the fact that
you want to see a kid get excited, just say it's fucking pizza day, and they're just like, ah, it's fucking pizza day.
Oh no, I would agree. Yeah.
I say that now.
Well, right. I mean,
every day is pizza day when you're an adult.
Just tell me I'm getting pizza, and I do that. Of course, today I'd be like, "You're getting tacos? It's taco day!" It doesn't matter. It's whatever. Dash Attack says identity politics is the most toxic cesspool, no matter what direction it goes. So sick of this. Why no one else? I think everybody is. I think a lot more people are, and I think that the like we noticed the whole thing with Disney and the people that came out and protest. Now the shit they're facing here in Florida. I think the Amber Heard JD trial is going to really make a difference. I think the Will Smith thing kind of really set a lot of this shit in motion.
I think that was the first part of the last read that you predicted.
I think so. And people have asked me that. And I said, I think that might have kicked it off. And if Ezra throws a couple more chairs at women, this thing's done. I mean, I don't know what else.
It's on that incline right now. The slap started it. So now we're heading towards the peak of that re where it hits this crescendo before they lose their voice. And then hopefully it vanishes.
Yeah, because I can't see Chapek going, you know what? I'm going to stand up for my 5 employees who are pissed off at me right now and forego all these tax incentives and all this
everything
other crap
that helped build Disney into what it is today could be gone.
Fuck
because
it.
Of
We're moving.
A handful of bad actors who are doing a disservice to the very cause that they claim to promote.
And I think that's going to be a big slam of the door on the woke. I do. I think they're just going to realize that at that point, Chapek's going to, I don't know if he'll publicly say anything, but like you said, Script, secretly behind the scenes, all of a sudden this stuff will just go, fly away. And, it'll be why? Because he buckled and said, well, of course, we're never going to do that again. And if they ever do, I'll be like, fucking see ya, because I'm not going to deal with that shit no more. I mean, this is the end of his career, pretty much, if he lets this go. I mean, this is it. This could be the death of Disneyland, man. I mean,
Disney World
or Disney World, yeah,
California, yeah,
that's what I meant. Yeah, sorry, but yeah, I mean, it could be the end of that. Well, not just that; it could end the whole company if it really gets bad enough. I mean, like if they're having to pay back some of the
back some of the leverage of debt that they have. If again, the other part too, the parks, now that they're opened again, they're getting a flood of cash that can be reappropriated to their studios. And so if they lose that, they then have to solely make their money off their studios, which is going to be a lot harder to do because the quality just hasn't been there for Disney.
Clearly.
I mean, Eisner had a far more profitable of in-house films comparatively now to Iger's run. I mean, the Pirates thing, that came under Eisner, and Eisner's like, hey, we have this theme park in our...
Who ran the parks under his regime? Because the parks actually came back then. Because I remember they were kind of... The whole
they had a peak. They had a peak and then a huge dip in the late 90s, and they had to rise again. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Because like he kind of, I don't think that Eisner himself was responsible for that. I'm sure whoever he put in charge of the parks. That's why I was curious, because I mean, I don't think Chapek's been around that long. So, and I don't want to give him credit for it anyway. But like, yeah, I mean, it's not like they haven't dealt with things like not like this though. This would technically kill the company probably.
It hit them to a severe blow, but because they own so many intellectual properties, they could probably stay afloat, or they could sell a couple of them to rebound. They're not going to get as much as what they paid for, but you know, there's options. I mean, I've long since speculated that at one point, if Marvel starts to really feel like they're not doing so well under Disney, they can organize themselves a way to buy themselves out to be their own independent studio again.
But I just don't see this being the the hill that Chapek decides to die on here. I
would think it'd be very foolish for him to double
twice.
Down on. Like he's wounded right now, but it's not life threatening at this point. But it's done some damage. He might have a limp, but again, he's being thrown into some various types of games, or not so much games, but battles that are outside of what he's normally used to. Like, he's now having to deal with politics, and now he's having to deal with social, societal points of
pressures
view
and
pressures that are completely outside of the corporate sphere. So and he also has the corporate stuff to worry about. So he's being, attacked at 3 different angles. And he was doing really well just on the corporate and acclimating to the studio side of things. And then these 2 factors came in, and we saw, the hostage video that we like to jokingly title. And now we've got this part from the politics side of things in the state of Florida. Yeah, he's going to be, he has to navigate very carefully, and he has to start learning some new tricks and maneuvers on those 2 fronts. And if he wants to come out ahead, and not just out ahead for himself personally, but out ahead so that Disney maintains its stature within the Hollywood system.
Well, on our way out the door, Mike, you didn't really get to say much earlier when Valiant was talking about this, but from a tax man's point of view, how big of a deal is this to Disney as a company?
Oh, there are so many angles to how bad this is economically, potentially. It covers bonds, their credit rating, their stock price, their earnings, their control, their ability to do what they want, when they want, where they want,
their development,
and by the state of Florida making this move, they've also created more allies. And I'm going to go back to what I talked about earlier. As someone who earlier in my career worked for the city of San Jose, one of the top 10 largest cities in the country, and I was directly in the mayor's office and the budget office when we decided we wanted a stadium. We wanted 2 stadiums. We wanted a baseball stadium, which didn't happen, and then we wanted a stadium for the San Jose Sharks, which did happen. And we had to annex different lands, and some of them were held by private corporations. There were issues where we had to move Adobe. I mean, by them making this move, they've also now put the 2 counties in play where Disney has this sort of this protected zone. In those counties, there's a ton of money on the table for them to get that they haven't otherwise gotten. I'm not talking about sales tax revenue and control. I'm talking about development, permit fees, all kinds of stuff. So this must be dealt with. This issue will be dealt with. Stay tuned, everyone, because this issue will be dealt with, because now, as Valiant Renegades said earlier, Now we're in political play. Now we're in legal play, and there are big dollars at stake. And go back to what Script said in terms of what Script and Valiant were talking earlier.
All right. Well, we'll keep our eye on that as well as the other things we talked about today. Thank you, Six, for being here and joining us today. Hopefully you had a good time. Is there anything you want to plug or anything you got coming up?
Yeah, I did. I recorded something for Floral from Under a Rock. It's a YouTube channel. He's doing a showdown tomorrow night. Yeah, that troublemaker, that puppet troublemaker. He's doing a showdown, which Tom is out of because he lost.
Yeah.
Between Paulie and Eric July tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern. I recorded my little 2 cents worth, so
cool.
That'll be on tomorrow night. Floral from Under a Rock.
All right. And Script Doctor, anything you want to plug or anything going on?
No.
All right. Mikey, anything going on? Midnight's Edge in the morning tomorrow?
Yep. And see you Thursday.
And see you what's Thursday?
Midnight's Edge After Dark at 6 o'clock Central.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I might be around for that.
Oh, yeah. There's that show, that thing. Bye, kid.
Respeto a grandiosa.